If I had to build a photography kit from scratch today, what would I make sure to buy first? I recently saw some fashion-related videos on this topic and thought it would be cool to do something similar for photography. It seems like a fun idea. It's like if you were to rebuild the house you are living in, you'd probably want to change a few things based on your experience, right? Have you ever thought about photography that way? What gear would you buy today if you were just starting out? In this video, I'll talk about what I would get if I were starting photography, whether as hobby or as a professional. I'll cover gear for both casual and pro photography, hoping to give you some ideas for your own kit, especially for those that are just starting out. If you enjoyed this video at any point, please give it a like. Everything I mentioned in this video will be linked in the description, and now let's dive into the photography gear. The first thing I would get as a photographer is a camera body, obviously. If it's for casual shooting as a hobby, I'd go for an APS-C camera, especially from Fujifilm. Why Fujifilm? Well, because it's the most popular camera brand right now, and as a casual photographer, who don't want to look trendy while walking down the street? But jokes aside, I choose Fujifilm because of the film simulations and the ability to create film recipes, which help get a creative look without spending too much time editing. So with Fujifilm, you can easily recreate that film look. People who don't know much about photography might even think the photos were taken on real film, which could make your look even more stylish. You know, not only Adidas Sambas can make you look cool. For casual shooting, great options would be the Fujifilm X-T30, both first and the second version, or a used X-E4. Depending on the budget, you could even try older versions of these models. They are compact and perfect for casual photography. If you also want to shoot some videos, then the Fujifilm X-S10 or X-S20 are good choices. They are a bit bigger than the X-T30 or X-E4, but both has in-body image stabilization, and the X-S20 has a larger battery, which is a plus. If budget isn't a concern, the ultimate camera for casual shooting would be the X-T50. It's overpriced but looks similar to the X-T30 and has in-body image stabilization. And of course, you can look at Fujifilm X100 camera series if you are okay having only one fixed lens on your camera, because despite that, X100 cameras are a great option for casual shooting, although the price can also be too high on latest X106 model. So if money isn't a problem and besides good camera for casual shooting you want to look cool, then go for either Fujifilm X-T50 or X106. This way you will show people you are a real deal, or that you have lots of money, but really cheaper Fujifilm options will suit your needs just fine as well. If I were to start a career as a professional photographer, things would be a bit different and serious. First, I'd need to decide how much low-light photography I'd be doing, like at weddings or other receptions. If I needed to shoot in low light a lot, I'd consider getting a full-frame camera like the Sony a7 IV. Bigger sensor compared to APS-C one will capture more light, making low-light images better quality. My Sony a7 III from 2018 is still working great, but the a7 IV would be even better, especially with its improved image stabilization and video features. And besides photography, you could also offer some video services like Shorts, Reels or TikTok filming for those influencers, because there can be an actual demand for that. If low light performance wasn't a big deal, I'd stick with Fujifilm, specifically the X-H2S or the X-H2 if I needed a 40 megapixel sensor. The main thing I'd look for is camera reliability, so it wouldn't break down under heavy use. Another must-have is dual card slots, so I'd have 2 copies of everything I shoot. As a professional photographer, it's crucial to make sure the job gets done safely, and it is a real deal that you should consider, as often it is hard to recreate paid photo shoots, or it is possible but could cost a lot to do it. So don't forget, dual card slots is a must that might save your money in the future, as well as save from embarrassing moments when you need to tell your clients you have lost all the footage. The second most important thing after the camera body is the lens. If the camera body is the brain, then camera lens is the eye for that brain. For casual shooting, the choice is pretty simple. For a small Fuji camera, I'd go with the Fujifilm X f27mm f2.8 lens. It keeps the whole setup compact, and since it's equivalent to 40mm on a full-frame camera, it's a good middle ground, not too wide or too tight. This makes it a great first lens for capturing family moments taken on trips or just walking around the city and looking cool. The budget-friendly alternative of XF27mm lens would be the one from TT Artisan. I have made a comparison video of two lenses which you can watch on my channel. Basically, if the one flaw of TT Artisan lens won't scare you, it might actually be a better choice than Fujifilm lens. For professional use, I'd recommend starting with a 50mm lens on a full-frame camera like the Sony a7 IV. A 50mm f1.8 lens is a great starting point because it gives a natural look, also not too wide or too tight. You can use it for portrait, products and more, though sometimes the fixed focal length can feel limiting. After that, you have two options: either get more fixed lenses or a zoom lens. If you go for fixed lenses, I'd suggest adding 35 and 85mm lenses. Combined with the 50mm, these three focal lengths will cover a lot of situations. While you'll need to swap lenses, the faster apertures will help in low light. If you're a bit lazy like me and would prefer one zoom lens instead of few fixed, then Tamron 28-75mm f2.8 is a great choice for a full-frame Sony camera. It's versatile and covers almost all the focal lengths you might need, but without wider apertures. I have exact lens on my Sony a7 III and it is great, especially comparing the size to older 24-70 lens versions. For an APS-C camera, you'll need to convert those focal lengths to the APS-C format. Fujifilm offers 23, 35 and 50mm lenses that closely match the full-frame 35, 50 and 85mm focal lengths. Also, for lazy ones, Fujifilm has some zoom lenses to choose from. Now that we have a camera body and a lens, we need an SD card to store images. That's a lot of gear already, right? Well, once you have a photography kit, you might be able to post that meme about how hard it is to be a photographer because of all the expenses and how frustrating it is when people ask for a discount. I think many beginners feel this way because they spend a lot of money on gear and then find out that people don't always want to pay much for photography. But don't worry, if you are strong, you'll get through it like me and many others. And if you just want to take photos for fun, go ahead and post those pictures of sunset or your meals. Even we professionals do that sometimes. Now back to the camera storage. For casual shooting, I'd recommend getting two 64GB SD cards like the ones from SanDisk. This amount of memory should be plenty even for traveling. SanDisk makes very reliable memory cards and I have never had one fail on me. In fact, I usually lose them before they break. For a professional photography kit, if the budget allows, I'd suggest getting three 128GB fast cards, also from SanDisk. Having three is smart because you can keep two in the camera and have one as a backup in case something goes wrong with the others. You could get two top quality cards and a third slightly cheaper one as an emergency backup that you hopefully won't need to use. For pro work, I also suggest getting a spare battery. For casual shooting, one battery is usually enough because you can charge it in the evening or during lunch. But for paid jobs, which can take hours, your battery might run out, so it's a good idea to have a backup with you. Another important accessory for both casual and pro photography is a quick-release camera strap system. By far, it is one of my most favorite pieces of photography gear. It's really useful because it lets you quickly take off the camera strap. For example, if you are shooting in a studio on a tripod, removing the camera strap helps keep things neat, so you won't accidentally knock over the tripod with the camera. Because you remember that meme about how expensive everything is. But it is also handy at home. After a shoot, you can detach the strap, toss it aside and put your camera on the shelf without the strap cluttering the space. But keep in mind, and this is very important, if you want to get a camera strap quick release system, you should get a good one like the ones from Peak Design. They have strong ropes that hold the camera tightly without moving around. If you buy a cheaper one from a site like AliExpress, the quality wouldn't be as good. The rope is usually thinner and can wear out over time because it would have some movement while attached to the camera. This might cause you to accidentally drop your camera without noticing that the rope has worn out. And in general, if you attach those straps release loops directly to the camera, don't forget to check them out from time to time just in case. If you want to take your camera anywhere outside your home, you'll need a camera bag. Of course, you could carry your camera in a tote bag, but remember, this is expensive stuff, right? And we need to protect it. If you have a small camera like the Fuji X100VI, you can use a bag you already have. But if you have more gear, that won't work so well. Things can bump around inside the bag, especially if you have extra lenses. For casual shooting, a sling bag is a good choice. The one from Peak Design, for example, could be a great option. For professional professional work, I would suggest a sturdy backpack that can handle lots of use. From my experience, the Wondered Provo camera backpack is a great choice. I bought it 3 years ago and it's still in good shape. Nothing has broke and I like that it doesn't look like a camera bag. It is also versatile because I can remove the camera cube and use the backpack for travel, which I have done often. If you want a small backpack for casual photography, you can check out the one from Brevity. I have one and it's great. It doesn't stand out, has plenty of space for a camera kit and extra room for other things like a laptop. Plus it comes in different colors. And like I use my Wondered camera backpack without a camera cube for traveling, you can buy a camera insert for the bag that you already own. But you need to make sure you buy it in the size that would fit in your bag. Now we have the camera, lens and even a bag to take it outside, but when we come back we need something to edit our pictures on. For that I suggest getting a MacBook Air with Apple Silicon. It is a small and powerful laptop that works well for photo editing. Apple Silicon has made a big jump in performance, so now even a basic MacBook Air can handle photo editing easily. Finally, at least one good news that we can save some money and buy a cheaper laptop instead of those expensive Pro models. Although Air's screen might be a bit small, but for professional work you can use an external monitor for better editing if needed. I think a smaller laptop with a bigger external screen at home is better than a big 16-inch laptop. It's easier to take a smaller laptop with you when you're traveling, and carrying a 16-inch laptop can be a hassle. Unless you plan to do lots of editing on the go, then bigger screen on laptop would be more useful. For casual photography you might also think about using an iPad. I'm not sure if an iPad is a good idea for professional editing, but it could be fine for basic color corrections. Regarding apps for editing photos casually, I would suggest using something like Luminar Neo. It's a photo editing app where you can either get a subscription or buy it with one-time payment. The app lets you do all the basic photo edits you might need, plus some advanced editing with AI help. Recently, Skylum offered me a chance to try out their app. If I was doing only street photography without any paid jobs, Luminar Neo would definitely be enough for me. I'll put a link in the description so you can try it too. There might also be a discount code for you, so check it out, and if you like it, you can save some money with my code, especially since they are offering good discounts right now. It's a great time to get a photo editing app with AI features at a good price. For professional photography, Luminar Neo might not be enough. While it can be an alternative to Lightroom or Capture One for editing raw images, for more complex edits you'll need Photoshop. However, if you are just starting out, you might want to try Affinity Photo instead of Photoshop. Adobe has been making changes that I don't like their subscription plans, which can get expensive if you need several apps. Affinity, on the other hand, offers a one-time license for just 38 euros, which is much cheaper than Adobe's plans. They even have a bundle of 3 programs, including one for Adobe Illustrator Needs, for only 90 euros for lifetime access. So if you are starting out, trying and learning with Affinity apps could save you a lot of money in the future. So that's a basic guide on what I might need for both casual and professional photography. There are lots of other things you could buy, but these are good starting points. For example, you don't need to buy lots of lenses right away for professional work. You can start with just one zoom lens and add more as you go. I am even afraid to calculate how much those 2 photography kits might cost, so just remember that you can start getting everything piece by piece. Share what you think in the comments below. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Hope this photography gear list didn't scare you from photography. Also, if you could buy something new for your photography kit today, what would it be? Let's talk about it in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, please do give it a like, it helps out with the channel. Thank you for your time, stay positive, have a nice day and keep shooting.